And it's some game that I've been taking from them. And the big thing that they be talking about is the three M's. The three M's. You need the three M's. And I'm like, what's that? So the three M's is being able to make some money. Put that here. Make. Being able to manage some money. Put this here. And being able to multiply your money. And so we're just gonna go over a couple of these, and then we're just gonna get into some numbers for a little second. So the first thing they talk about is being able to make the bread. They said if you don't have that hustling spirit to get up off your ass every day and go get some money, you ain't gonna make it. You ain't gonna make it in investing, bro. You're not gonna make it in anything, right? So you gotta have that first. You gotta be able to get up off your ass and go hustle and get some cheese, right? And so one thing with black people, we don't really have a problem with going to make no money. Like we always been money getters. Like we always been getting to the bag, right? We always been doing it. But our problem is once we make the money, we don't know how to manage our bread. And that's another thing that we've been talking about, just managing your money. And let me see, brother just stepped in. Being able to manage your money. And the biggest thing about managing your money is really being disciplined, right? And so that's the basics of this second one here. I'm gonna put these arrows here. Being disciplined, and then the second one here is sacrificing. Make sure I spell that right. Ficing, yeah. Make sure I spell that right. So discipline and sacrifice, right? And so with these two, if you don't have these, you're not gonna have this. That makes sense? I think that makes sense. But so with these two, discipline and sacrifice. Discipline, you gotta have this branches out. You gotta have a big why for you to be disciplined and for you to sacrifice. And that's one thing we be talking about too. Stay with me though. It's gonna get a little hectic on here. Wow. And so with these two, if you're not disciplined and if you're not sacrificed, like I said, you're not gonna be able to do this, and you're not gonna be able to get to the next step. And so your why, what do I mean by your why? Bro, if you don't have a big enough reason to be wealthy, you're not gonna get there. Because there's gonna be so many ups and downs that you gonna be like, bro, I'm trying to tap out. I'm not trying to do this, but that's why you need a big enough why. Some of my whys is, my family. I want to make sure my mama, my dad, my cousins, my brothers, I want to make sure they so well off that all they gotta say is thank you. They don't they don't owe me nothing. They don't need to do this. They don't need to do that. They gonna be so well off that all they just gonna say is thank you. And that's my why. So I don't got no kids yet. Some of y'all got kids. That can be your why. You know what I'm saying? It's somebody that did you dirty. You know what I'm saying? You trying to not get revenge, but you trying to prove them wrong. You trying to come back up. That why gotta be so strong, bro. When you going through the worst of the worst stuff, that it keep you going. Cause I'm telling you, it's gonna get rough. Listen to me. It's gonna get rough. It's gonna get rough. So got to make. We can do that. Like I said, we can go get a bag. We can go sell some, whatever. Manage. Discipline and sacrifice, and we need both of those whys. After we have this done, after we have this done, actually, let me go into manage a little bit more. I want to tap into manage a little bit more. So once we have the discipline and the sacrifice, then we can actually start managing our money. And what I mean by that, I want to pull this down here. What I mean by now we can actually manage our money. Now it's about the how to's. Like, how do I manage it? Now I got the discipline. Now I got the sacrifice. But what am I gonna do? Right? And so this comes into, being organized. Having everything organized with what you got going on. So if you get paid, making sure you put some money aside for your bills. So if you got rent that you got to pay, if you got, phone bill, like we talked last week, we talked about the budgeting and investing. If you got all these different bills you got to pay, once you get paid, you need to put that money aside immediately. You need to put it aside immediately. One of our problems is once we get paid, the money really already gone. Because we done already seen where we gonna spend the money at before the check even hit. You know how black folks is. We done already spent the bread. So biggest thing is, like I said, discipline and sacrificing. Telling ourselves we don't need them shoes this month, right? We don't need them shoes right now. We don't need them clothes. We really don't need that much gas right now either. You know what I'm saying? We don't really need that right now. But it all come to this, and it really come to what you want. Like if you gotta go, like I want to be wealthy, I want to be, I want to be rich, I want to, live in a big house, I want to, have residual income coming in. Everybody talk about, I want my kids to be good, I want my family to be good. If you got these big goals, you gotta start sacrificing right now to get there. Because if you don't start, right, you gonna look up in 10 years talking about the same goals. Man, I want to do this, I want to do that. Whole time you could have been accomplished everything, right? And so those are those two. And so back to managing, I'm gonna put here number one, um, putting the money to the side. All right, setting money to the side. Right, right. Like we just talked about. Number two, saying this is a big one for you. Saying no. My O look a little weird, but you see it. We say yes to everything, and these are temptations. And another thing we're gonna talk about, managing. Three, assets over. You know what I'm gonna say? Liabilities. Right? And so I'm gonna talk about them two real quick. We're gonna get into multiply. We're gonna talk about a couple other things, and I'm off here. So saying no, saying no to all this extra stuff. I'm telling you, like we get hungry, the first thing we think about is going to get something quick to eat. Then look quick add up to food that we're getting at the end of the month. I know you be looking back at your transactions. And transactions, you like, man, what? When did what? Nah, you did. All that stuff added up, and then all that money that we've been spending could have been extra bread for where we can talk about next, where we can multiply, where we can start investing, right? So that's just saying no. Number three, assets over liabilities. If it ain't making you no money, you shouldn't be spending money on it. Everybody got their own philosophy, but I'm just telling you, assets over liabilities. If it's not making you no money, you are just losing out on your bread. You're just losing out on your bread. Get that. Assets over liabilities. And so once we got that, this is all managed. We still on the second. Once we got the sacrifice, the discipline, our wives, these three, and it's more, but I ain't gonna get into them today. Then we get into multiplying. Once we got the money now we don't put the money aside. We don't pay the bills off. We done paid everything that we need. Now we got this money left. That's when we get into multiplying. Now we can start multiplying. Now we can start investing into some basics, right? And so, these are things that you should be looking up on your own. I'm gonna just put it here so you can just go down that alley and see it yourself. But main things that you should be multiplying using your bread in, I'm gonna put a couple of these here. Is number one, indexes. Indexes. Number two, stocks. Number three, we can go, let's see. And depending on who you are, you want to do real estate, find you a guru that do real estate, you can do real estate too. Real estate. All right. Number four, we can do REITs. REITs as well. And REITs, they really pay dividends. So this is money that you just gonna see passively coming back to you. And I'm gonna just put number 5 as let's see, what's a good one to give you? Um let's just go to the big dog, a business, right? Right? And so a business, we'll break the business down next week. And so these basics, once we able to get all this done, we able to make the money, we're able to manage, we're able to do all this. Now we can start multiplying. Now where we're gonna multiply it over here in this section. So you should be having this in your notes. You should be having this. I'm gonna look up these index funds. You can put the funds here too. Index funds. Funds. I'm gonna do index funds. We're gonna talk about stocks when we be done. All right. And so index funds. Let's do index funds. Let's go over the main ones real quick. Number 1. Let's go SPY. S&P 500. Number 2. Let's go over to NASDAQ 100. Number 3. I'm just going over this 3 today. Let's go over to Dow. Dow Jones 30. Right? And so these are 3 that you need. These are 3 that you need. And so just breaking these down real quick. We're just going over these 2 today. We're going over these 2. Right? And so index funds, first one. So what's an index fund? So index fund is basically a makeup of stocks. So you got individual stocks, and then you can put stocks in a whole basket, and it's an index. That's basically what an index is, right? And so there's 3 different indexes that the world knows about when it comes to investing. And each 3, S&P 500. If you don't know what that is, make sure you write it down. Do your own research later. S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, and the Dow Jones 30, right? And so when it comes to the S&P 500, this is a makeup of the 500 largest traded companies on the stock market, right? And so out of these 500, then we'll go into the next week about picking which ones that are going to be here or look like they're going to be here in the next 10 years, right? And so you got your S&P 500, that's still NASDAQ 100. So NASDAQ 100 is basically 100 companies that are solely focused in technology. So these are like your Apples, these are like your Microsoft, these are like your NVIDIA chips, if y'all know what that is, your Googles, everything that has to do with technology is in the NASDAQ 100, right? And so then you got your Dow Jones 30. These are the basically 30 big blue chip companies. And blue chip companies meaning over a long period of time, they've been able to do their thing. They ain't been able to, go crazier or drop super low. They've been able to be consistent.